reality is not dictated by a deity. It's developed from empathy, dependence, and love. My morality accepts everybody's sexuality, is more concerned with inequality and the validations from above. My morality is not set into stone tablets.
Okay, so this is Amanda Brown and Michaelyn Everhart, and they have been putting together this entire convention, the ReasonFest. Do you guys want to just talk about some of the things that you had to go through in making this happen?
Sure. This year I kind of took the lead with ReasonFest because Michaelyn is the president of SOMA, so she had enough on her plate, and so I went ahead and took it over because I was a stay-at-home mom, thought I'd have plenty of time, and some of the things that we ran into was, one, an overabundance of speakers wanting to speak at our conference, which that's not a bad thing, that's amazing. And then funding is another issue, and it's always an issue at a free conference because you try to do everything absolutely for free, and not make this a burden on anybody, even ourselves. We try to make it as free as humanly possible for everybody involved. And what we end up having to do is basically feel kind of like beggars at times. You stand in front of Student Senate and you try to be as professional as humanly possible, but at the same time you're kind of groveling, going, please just give me money. Just, you have a $500,000 budget, just a measly $5K this way. That's all we're asking. And so it's a lot of fun though. I think what defines ReasonFest to be much different than other free conferences is the sense of community that we bring together here. We are very much a inclusive type of conference. We bring everybody together. We try to make sure everybody has lunch together. The speakers are way more involved with the attendees. You can sit down, you can have full conversations. They want to be involved. They hang out with a lot of the students because we are an SSA affiliate, and this is run by college students, even though I'm technically not a college student anymore. All of our volunteers that help with this are SOMA members, so they do a lot of good.
Sure. Yeah, I guess, like she said, I'm president of the student group who puts this on, and this was our third year. So we do have some experience. We both sort of co-coordinated the event last year. And yeah, I just dealt a lot with getting funding, SSA grants. Coca-Cola sponsors KU here, and they gave us a grant, and then we went to Student Senate, and they gave us money to get our speakers here. So yeah, it's just been a busy few weeks.
What made you want to go through all that and do all that work to put on this kind of conference?
I honestly think I do it because I think this is a necessary, I don't want to say evil, but it's like a necessary stress to put yourself through in order to bring the type of community and education that is severely lacking in this area. Atheists don't really have a safe place to go or be all together at one time. At the same time, it's hard for us to get our message out as to the fact that we are very open-minded, we're very inclusive, and we want people to be able to have a dialogue opened up between them, so that way a lot of these myths about atheists being, evil baby eaters and things like that are dispelled, as well as Christians being these, these tight, staunch, very unwelcoming people. Here, it is Kansas, so, it's not going to be the most welcoming or accepting area for different viewpoints. Yeah. But here in Lawrence, it is a nice little teeny tiny hole of blue in liberalism and in the sea of red. Mm-hmm. And so you are able to connect with different religions and different viewpoints and get to see different sides of things that you wouldn't normally get to do, which is why we also brought the panel in this year with the atheist, Buddhist, Muslim, Jew, and a Christian, to kind of get people talking and get people to realize that even though we all see things differently, there's still this common ground we have with one another, that we want to help each other and be able to make sure that we don't leave each other starving or in pain, things like that. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of why I do ReasonFest.
And, I have our student group here is here mainly to provide a safe place for non-religious students. And, a lot of us grew up in Kansas, and a lot of us grew up in small towns that are not like Lawrence and are not so welcoming to someone who considers themselves an atheist or even an agnostic, somebody who doesn't go to church. So, you know, we're just here to be like, hey, we think like you, we have similar worldviews, and, you know, that changed so much of my life coming into college from a small town, so.
Yeah, I didn't really go to many conventions yet, and we went to Skepticon, and JT went up and he was doing his Dear Christian 2 talk, and when he got down to the end of it, and he started talking about love, and I saw pictures of you two like popping up on the screen, and then a bunch of people from the audience started giving out roses to you, and he proposed. I was like, oh my gosh, this community is so beautiful, so loving, so amazing. I want to be a part of this. Like, that's all I could think of, and I just want to let you know that you're one of the main reasons why I love coming to these conventions.
Oh my gosh.
No pressure.
No, and it is great. It's just this community, and yeah, every time I go to a conference, I'm greeted by hugs and, you know, people that I know from being online, but we meet in person for the first time, and it's amazing, you know, to have friends all over the country. With, I don't know, we think alike, and I don't know, I have so many friends because of the atheist movement. It's really great.
And you meet in the conventions, and you get to actually hug each other and go and hang out and have a drink and have the one-on-one, and I think it's so important that we start going to these conventions and making friends with other people, and it makes you realize that you're not alone and that there's tons of other like-minded people. And one of the really cool things that happened, like I was saying earlier on the show, one of the really cool things that happened was us hanging out here in the back room, just getting real, just getting real and raw and just talking about stuff. I think it's so important that us women can get together and talk about the stuff that we've been going through as atheists and women.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize. I mean, obviously there are women in the atheist movement, but it's something that is kind of, there's a lot of focus on it. You hear people talk about it, but then you don't see the women. You see like 5 or 6 of them, but you don't see that there are a large majority of women who don't really want any credit. They don't want their name out there. They don't care about that, but they're involved in tons of different things, have their hands in all these different baskets, just trying to make sure everything behind the scenes is working effectively while they're, I don't want to say typical stereotype, but the white men are on the stage with the mic making sure that the message is heard, and they're the ones that are back there making sure that the venue is okay, that, you know, everybody's fed and taken care of, and things like that. So that's something I feel like needs to kind of come out and be known a little bit more. It's not that women aren't participating, it's that we're not given that platform as much that we should be given.
Who would you recommend to speak at some of these conferences? What women, maybe we need to encourage women more.
I think women in general need to just start putting themselves out there. I think marketing yourself needs to start coming out more. Putting yourself onto the SSA Speakers Bureau and the American Atheist Speakers Bureau and the CFI Speakers Bureau and the Secular Woman Speakers Bureau. There are all of these places you can go. Women have this education and subset of education that isn't available from a male perspective. We have parenting advice, we have the ability to talk about dealing with things in the workplace that are going to be a little bit different, having examples of how they've come up and broken glass ceilings, and even just talking about women's rights within the atheist movement and outside of it. There are just different things that a woman can give a perspective on that's going to be different than a male perspective. But even beyond that, we have women who have, you know, just the same degrees or even more extensive knowledge in neurology and biology and physics and all of these things that we have male speakers coming to, but it's because men are typically picked up in that field more than women. They're the ones that are getting asked to come instead of a person of equal knowledge that is female.
I think that's exactly it. I don't think a lot of people even know that women are able to talk about those subjects either. People have to actually go and hunt for women, or like go to people and say, where are there some women that could talk about, you know, a particular subject, and nobody knows about it. And maybe there needs to be some kind of database or something for this, but there are tons of women that know a lot about different subjects, whether it be science or whether it be history or the Bible knowledge, and nobody knows about them.
Right. The very few that end up getting spaces are like Annie Laurie Gaylor, who's a great female activist and does a lot of things for the community with Foundation from Religion. Foundation. That wasn't right. Freedom from Religion Foundation. Don't run a conference and then try to think. And other ones like Ayaan Hirsi Ali and her story with Islam and everything that she's gone through, like, she has a lot to say when it comes to civil rights. I feel like those women end up getting a platform, but it's the scientists and the ones with medical background. And Eugenie Scott. That is a woman I love. She is amazing.